Hi VC, it's Danny. I just wanted to say thank you to Andrew at Tales from the Crate. Um, Thank you for running your subs contest, for encouraging me to make a video. I wouldn't have made a video if you hadn't run that contest. And so then the continued support and encouragement that you showed me is really appreciated. And to everybody, Lou, everybody else who's commented, Maz, hey, I just really appreciate it, and just wanted to say thank you. And kind of in that spirit, I thought I'd make a video of records I wouldn't have if it wasn't for the VC. Just kind of show my appreciation. So, to kick things off, starting a little bit outside the VC, maybe not technically VC, which is how I feel, so it's appropriate. There's a guy named Sean Rowley who's, I believe, a radio DJ in England, and he used to run, I don't know if he still makes videos, a YouTube channel called The New Vinyl Review, where he'd pick a handful of new releases and review them, and it was great. It turned me on to some great music, one of which was the Brothers and the Sisters, Dylan's Gospel, which was a Lou Adler produced album. Originally came out on Ode. This is a Light in the Attic repress. And a lot of the most talented backup singers in LA, I believe, they all got together in a church, and they recorded a gospel album of Bob Dylan covers. And it's every bit as good as that promise sounds. It totally pays off. Mary Clayton, who does the female background vocal on "Gimme Shelter," is in here. This record really turned me on to her. She's got some great solo albums that are, it turns hard to find, and sometimes they just pop up for cheaper than they should. But they're well worth seeking out if you like soul, if you like gospel. This album, like everything that Light in the Attic puts out, if you have any interest in it, it's totally worth picking up. Yeah, just highly recommended. Through the same channel, I became aware of this record, Pop Staples, Don't Lose This. These are tapes that Pops gave to Mavis shortly before he passed, and when he gave it to her, he said, "Don't lose this." And I think for years, Mavis, his daughter of the Staple Singers, sat with the tapes, and eventually she brought in Jeff Tweedy of Wilco to finish the session off, and it's fantastic, especially for the way that it was produced, across years. You can't hear that gulf of time. There's certainly something modern about Jeff Tweedy's choices, that you wouldn't expect from Staple Singers or a Pops album, but they blend so perfectly. Somebody Was Watching, the lead-off track, is worth the price of admission alone. But it's just wonderful, soulful, bluesy gospel. And there is something almost eerie about the union of the two musicians, that gives this kind of a from beyond the grave kind of feeling in the best possible way. It's certainly, there's a spirituality in this record, which I highly recommend this one as well. It was scarce when it was first pressed, and now seems to be able to be picked up cheaply. So if you see it, I recommend it. And lastly, what Sean well, this is the last band that I was turned on to through Sean. This is Future Islands, and this is their album Singles. They broke kind of with their song Seasons. They performed it on Letterman. The lead singer, whose name I actually don't know, is a great dancer and a great performer. He's got incredible presence, and yeah, it's a fantastic song. His name's Sam something. So I picked up this album, and while this record is really great, that Future Islands has, I mean, it's hard to describe. It's post-hardcore electro-punk in a way. That doesn't give you a good idea of what it sounds like. I think their band setup is basically they have a bass player, a keyboard player, and a vocalist, and a drummer, I believe. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, the lead singer Sam is really into hip hop, but you get the sense that he has crafted his approach to this band for this band, and his vocals hit this deep growling part of his low register. It's just great music. In particular, the song Seasons. Unfortunately, on the album version, the audio quality is not the best. So I did seek out the single, which is actually what Sean Rowley showed in his video. And I was hoping there'd be a little bit more high and low register on the 45 single release, which is hard to track down, but it was there. And in my opinion, it was worth it because Seasons is, the song from the album. So if you haven't checked them out, check them out. Keeping it going with 45s, I guess. I picked this one up. Not directly necessarily inspired by a VC video, but I'd been watching a lot of Jeff's videos. Hi, Jeff. If you're watching, love your channel. Really inspiring to see how you went from zero to full-fledged, indispensable member of the VC in such a short time. And Elvis is one of the artists who I've been digging deeper. I've loved his music for a long time, but my entry point when I was younger was maybe Greatest Hits and, My Aim Is True and the stuff that kind of everybody knows. So, not that this is Every Day I Write the Book, not that that's a super deep cut, but I found it when I was out digging in my local record store on a trip that had been inspired by watching your videos, so felt like I couldn't pass it up, and it's a 45 that I just play pretty frequently since I picked it up. So there's for Jeff and Jay Party. And in the same token, Loudon Wainwright is an artist who I started listening to actually because of the soundtrack to Knocked Up, which is called Strange Weirdos, and is an album in its own right, and a fantastic album in its own right. And not too many years after that, Loudon did this thing called the Charlie Poole Project, which was kind of his love letter to Charlie Poole, an old folk musician from the early 20th century. And so I have to be honest, I still really have to dig through these. But there are definitely songs on here that I know. Loudon was, again, another artist who I listened to through kind of iTunes mixtapes, and, I didn't get to know the specific albums as much as the songs. And Jeff is one of the few people on the VC who talks about Loudon, and so I've been kind of digging back into the early catalog, at least picking it up. I still have to really spend time. Thanks to Jeff's channel again. So And one last one from Jeff here. I remember in one of Jeff's early videos, he mentioned this album. And Aretha Franklin, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. And how the title track and Do Right Woman, Do Right Man, the two tracks which were recorded at Muscle Shoals, really jumped through the speakers. And I was just listening to this again last night, and I was lucky to find it at my local. Again, I watched the video, felt like I needed to go take a trip to the record store, found this. It was like kismet. So you were absolutely right. This is everything you described it as being, and I'm thrilled to have a copy. I spin this a lot. So thanks, Jeff. All right. Only one from this guy, which says nothing about his influence. Just maybe the level of obscurity and value and quantity of his records. But Derek Higgins, everybody knows, arguably the most famous VC member. I don't remember which video or how long ago it was, but he mentioned ballads by the John Coltrane Quartet. And this is not necessarily representative of Derek, the kinds of music that you'll find watching his channel, because almost nobody goes deeper. But I think he mentioned this as being an album that had a personal connection to him, and I listened to a bit. I've only recently started getting into jazz in the last few years, but I've really fallen in love with Coltrane, and this album is just a perfect Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, straight ahead but beautiful. Yeah, great record. So, thank you, Derek. And now, I haven't seen anything from this next VCer in a while. I'm sure I know I'm not the only one missing him. But Zeke the Vinyl Geek, just as far as I'm concerned, one of the kings of the VC. An incredible collection, amazing knowledge. Just we should all be such good collectors. But Zeke's just shows the best records as far as I'm concerned, and he showed this a while ago. This is Maureen Tucker, or Mo Tucker, the drummer from the Velvet Underground, and this is her album Playing Possum. This wasn't super easy to find, and I had to pay what it was worth when I found it. But it's a great record. It's a great, somewhere between totally traditional rock and roll and punk is kind of where Mo Tucker falls. And I know she's a big inspiration to Rachel Bloomberg, who was, I mentioned in my other video, the drummer of the Decemberists at one point. And, so hearing this kind of filled in where some of the other music that I already loved had come from. It's a specific mood album. It's not one that you play every day, but it's one that whenever I do play it, I'm always really happy that I own it. So thanks. To Zach, I think your name is Zach, even though the channel name is Zeke. I feel weird being familiar with you, even though I've only commented once or twice. But I appreciate it, all the videos and all the recommendations. Here's another one, which covers Zach or Zeke, but also covers Memphis vinyl, Jim and the Misses. This is Larry John Wilson. Let me sing my song to you. You probably know him if you know Heart-Worn Highways, the documentary, the outlaw country documentary with Steve Earle, Townes Van Zandt. He's featured in here with A Hoopie River Bottomland, I think is the name of the title. But he's just got this beautiful, rich baritone voice. Great guitar player. It's got that country funk flavor, which honestly, I would have thought was just like a sampler that Light in the Attic pulled together, but again through the VC, especially Memphis Vinyl Gym and the Misses, you watch their channel, you realize it's an entire genre you could plumb and collect, and it's one of the wonders of the VC for me is having these doors opened to worlds you didn't know was there, and then kind of being handed instructions for how to go explore them. It's been a real treat. And this record, I've only spun maybe 4 or 5 times, but each time I do, I'm happier and happier that I have it. And so, yeah, if you see anything by Larry John Wilson, I highly, highly recommend grabbing it. All right, we'll go here. So this is actually a pretty recent one. I'm gonna get the sleeve off for the glare. But I was watching, as I've been doing a lot of lately, watching Andrew Tales from the Crates videos, and it might have even been the original Soundtrack of My Life video. He mentioned Black Flag, and I just had this flashback to letting that record go at my local. It was $20. It was too much extra on the stack, so I left it there. And this is kind of what happens to me. I'll be watching a VC video, and then I'll be filled with anxiety about a record I want, or a record I left behind, or a record I need to go find. And I ran out to my local just to see what was in the Black Flag bin, and they had this copy of Damaged. And the funny thing about this, when I got it home and spun it, was, on the drive home, I'm like, you know what? I'm finally going to dig into Black Flag. And then I play the record, and I know every single song. Not by heart, not as if, I listened to this and didn't know it. Excuse me. But I get just having spent time in the punk scene, having spent time with so many people who were punks, were listening to this music, watching skate videos, I just know all these songs. So this was a real treat. Before this, I only had a live Black Flag album. I will definitely be exploring the rest of the catalog. And just, again, maybe in danger of becoming the I Love Andrew channel, but thanks, Andrew. So this one, I'm a little unclear on. This is Spoils by Alistair Roberts. And I know that I tracked this down shortly after discovering Andreas Sonic Mainliner's videos. I cannot remember for the life of me if it was because he had actually shown an Alistair Roberts record, or if I was marveling at the obscurity of his tastes and feeling like Alistair Roberts was the only artist that I was aware of that was anywhere near there. I feel like he mentioned Alistair's some record that he'd been involved in. Alistair Roberts is an incredibly prolific and an amazing modern folk artist. He's a Scottish folk singer. When he began his career, he alternated between traditional albums of traditional folk songs and then albums of originals. This is a relatively early, this is 2009 record. It's called Spoils. It is absolutely where I would recommend starting with Alistair Roberts, and I would absolutely recommend starting with Alistair Roberts somewhere. Wonderworking Stone would be a more recent album that might be a little easier to track down and is every bit as worth picking up. I'm hoping that Alistair, this will be maybe one of my contributions to the VC, that this is an artist who some of you may not have heard about, but that I can turn you guys on to. A lot of what gets called folk is simply music, melodic music with an acoustic guitar. Alistair is a folk singer. He unearths old folk songs. He understands the mechanisms of folk music. He's clearly curious and fascinated by history and literature, and he's such an intelligent guy. He's got a great sense of humor. I mean, as I mentioned in my other video, I was brought up strongly on Irish folk music, so this really hits the spot for me. But also, Andreas, Sonic Mainliner, love your videos, man. Yeah, you're the pitchfork of the VC. I don't know how else to put it. You've got the coolest, most obscure taste, in a slightly more modern direction, and I just have been loving your videos. So yeah, can't get this back in the sleeve, so I'll leave it out. All right, closing in on the end here. I'm waiting for another record that I got through this VC or found through this VC to show up in the mail, but if I waited to make videos until they were going to be perfect, I'd never make a video. This is the Bill Dixon Orchestra, Intents and Purposes. I picked this up after watching Teddy Eat Sleep Vinyl, another stalwart of the VC. I'm sure you've all seen his videos. They're easily the best produced, most thoughtful videos in the VC, and that's no slight to anybody else. It's just, I think, a testament to how much care and love Teddy puts into his videos. Teddy is just such a warm and open and knowledgeable and passionate person, and his videos have just meant a whole lot to me. I haven't commented on any of them, but it's almost like they mean too much, and I don't have the words. But he's discussed fairly openly dealing with grief and some of the music that he has explored through dealing with grief. And when I first picked this record up, it was too difficult for me. And recently I spun it all the way through with headphones, alone, at night. Just time and space to kind of be in it and contemplate it, and it was incredibly moving. I don't mean to say that this is necessarily a record dealing with themes of death and grief, but that it's that heavy, it's that big. So I'm about to run out of time. Okay, let's see if I can do this quickly. Here we're coming to two of my favorite VCers, Matt and Sam over at the Psychedelic Experience. If you guys ever see this, hi guys. I love your videos. Love your chemistry. I love being able to watch. I don't know. I just love your videos. There's something really special about it. Your friendship just really comes across, and your videos make me feel like I'm kind of included in it. So here's Love Forever Changes, an album that makes Matt go, I gotta say, I think I need to pick up Da Capo, as your other videos have suggested. It's not that I don't like this, but it hasn't, we haven't fallen in love yet. I do like it, but yeah, more time needs to be spent. And a quick shout out to Roger Coleman for highlighting this, which is the Rhino reissue, as the one to pick up if you weren't in for the whole MoFi kit and caboodle. This video is gonna cut off in 5 seconds. Maybe it didn't. Okay. Last one. Time of the Season by the Zombies. I've liked the Zombies for a long time, but I've been kind of a singles guy as far as they're concerned, and watching Matt and Sam's videos, I think it became clear how the time was right to jump on this record, to pick it up, and I'm so glad that I did. Again, I'm still exploring it. The funny thing about Matt and Sam's videos, I love their videos. I still have to explore psych. I still haven't really delved deeply enough into psych. So, yeah, this I think would be included in it. I've really enjoyed it every time I've listened, but I haven't listened enough. I need to dig deeper. But again, that's one of the things that's kind of exciting for me about the VC is I don't enjoy everybody's videos necessarily because I know all the music that they share and I love it already, but because everyone's sharing all of their knowledge and passion, it really makes it clear that there's a whole lot else out there to explore and a lot more to kind of fall in love with and to find. And I can't thank you all enough for all the stories, all of the passion, all the inspiration. And so yeah, I hope this is some small thank you to you. Thanks for enriching my record collection and enriching my life. And thanks again to everybody who's supported these videos in any way. It really, really, really means a lot. And all the best. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.